So I'm joined by the amazingly talented Kathryn Hicks. Kathryn is an immersive artist experience. She is the founder of Creature Studio, which has done work for HBO House of the Dragon, Snapchat, Hilton. And I found out about you through Baron Von Opperbean in The River of Time and BVO. You're the co-founder and chief of games. And I had to have you on the show, so thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I am a big tech nerd. I love figuring out all the new technology coming out and love immersive experiences. What does it mean to be an immersive experience artist?
I guess that's interesting. I guess with me and my background, I always think spatially. So I've worked in what's called the extended reality industry for 10 years. Extended reality is essentially an umbrella term for augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. But I've always taken reference from like location-based entertainment, which the immersive experience industry is in. Immersive experiences are essentially means you're feeling like you're transported into a different world. And even theme parks have elements of immersive experiences like Universal and Disney, whether you're going to like Diagon Alley or different areas, you're immersed in this world. But I guess as an immersive experience artist, or really, people like throw a lot of titles for me, but
Right.
I'm technically like a 3D generalist. For what that means for me is like, thinking spatially, building worlds, thinking about like what is behind the worlds, like what type of characters, what type of environment you're in, the story aspect of it, as well as how people experience the world they're walking in. Like, is it comfortable for them? How are they interacting with the space? There's aspects of level design into it. So and I guess level design also has similarities to user experience design as well. So I guess I'm thinking on the design side as well as the creativity side and like the world building side currently. So I know Chris is very like hands-on. He's building everything out and he is thinking about his lore and his story. I'm thinking about what it looks like extended digitally. What does the city look like? What do the multiple cities look like? And we won't be saying this publicly, even though I'm on this podcast and you hear me saying this right now. All these worlds are alternate versions of Memphis. So whenever I go to downtown Memphis, I've been taking photographs and looking at all the details. I'm like, okay, what makes this Memphis? If you notice, there's a lot of red brick buildings downtown and a lot of uniqueness elements of it. So I want to take those characteristics into what these different worlds are, like different Memphis elements and Easter eggs and things. Even Crosstown Concourse has really small reliefs on the side of the buildings that are like grapes and stuff that people usually pass by, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess I got that from I used to be a traditionalist artist. I used to be really into drawing and painting. I was very anti-digital art, which is ironic now because I'm 180 degree that. But I take the elements of like foundations of art and design and like with research and studying, I take that into everything I do, whether it's painting something, drawing something, sculpting something, lighting, etc.
I love that. And that like super honed in observation skill, how did you develop that skill of noticing things that people don't usually see?
Really observation, like just really like even if I'm people watching and I want to come up with ideas for characters, looking at how people walk, how people interact with things, their body shape, their muscular structure, body fat ratio, etc. Same thing with a building. A building is a character. A city is a character. Think of Gotham City in Batman. Gotham City is a character. So I think about it the same way where, okay, what makes this character unique? What is its story? Does the building have a lot of rust and decay? Has a car gone through it? I know that's a bit extreme, but has a car gone through this building? Is there remnants of this? And so I'm thinking about that as I'm like building out the digital side of Bevo and even just kind of working on like some sort of book for it. So
Ooh, I would love to read that. And with your creative process, when you have like, say you have to create these alternate versions of Memphis and you have these worlds you create, how do you begin a project? What's the middle of it and how do you complete it?
I guess right now I usually block things out. So research, take reference photos, and then once I have enough of that, I will block things out and lay that out and see what it looks like from different camera angles. Because I guess the way how we have the world set up now, at least the ones I'm working on, which is a window display, I have a camera set. So I'm seeing what this looks like to the camera and seeing like I'll be adding ships to what's on display now. Currently, it's very much a work in progress, but I'll see how ships flow through the city. What types of ships will be here? I definitely want trolleys in there. I'm gonna have flying trolleys in there.
Yeah, we need flying trolleys.
Flying trolleys.
Yes.
How are the people walking in this environment? Because there might be like small remnants of people in the buildings and stuff. So from sketch, whether it's research, it's some sort of sketch, from blocking, from lighting, from like double checking the textures, which textures are pretty much like the color of the buildings, the painted side of the buildings, and then rendering, and then seeing what it looks like in renders. There's a lot of testing and iteration.
I love that. And you said you started out in traditional art. When you were younger, what interested you about art? Were you always a creative kid? How did that develop?
I guess I always wanted to be like some sort of concept art or illustrator. And I went through like painting, and in undergrad I went to undergrad at University of Memphis, and I started out as a studio art major, and it was very figurative. I used to love drawing dragons all the time, and my mom said I would never make money drawing dragons. Love creatures, monsters, dragons. Grew up watching 1950s and 60s black and white horror films with my dad, so Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, Vincent Price, and that's why I have my studio's Creature Studio, and then transitioned to more figurative work. Loved drawing people, always drew from life. I was very realistic, and I had a very Baroque art style. I liked contrast and detail. And then I started to transition to more stylized figures, so more caricatures that are not like caricatures in the weird like big head stuff, but angular, almost very angular in design style. And then at some point, I think my sophomore year in college, I thought I wanted to be an animator, and I saw like with animator, I'm like, oh, you should know graphic design. So I transitioned to graphic design, which graphic design is not really related to animation, but at the time I didn't know that. But I'm glad I did graphic design because it was very helpful for me, and it was really difficult for me to transition from traditional art to design, specifically graphic design, because I had to think. What I thought is I had to think differently. After I finished graphic design, I realized no, graphic design, when you're doing design work, it's like a character. It's character design. You know, a brand is a character. The brand standards are they're elements of that character design. It's a process book. And so I think post-grad, I realized, there's more connections to traditional art and more of the figurative character illustrative work. And I think when I was in graphic design, I separated it so much, and so it was really difficult for me. I struggled. I'm not great at graphic design. But when I finished, and when I was looking for, I was helping my friend start up in the cruise center, and that he was doing fintech, and at the time it was like a PayPal type thing. But anyway, doing that, and then I applied to the Archer Malmo apprenticeship, and I got it with flying colors.
Nice.
But I went to SCAD instead. So
I almost went to SCAD. I got a scholarship there, but it was like a drop in the bucket of the tuition. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Mississippi State instead.
I mean, it's expensive. Yeah. Very thankful for my family and stuff to being supportive with that. Yeah. But yeah, I went to SCAD, and I went there for animation. I'm like, okay, I need to know animation, and I know I'm hopping around in my timeline, but right before I went to SCAD, I was trying to make an animation learning league class, or not class, where we all trying to teach each other the animation. That didn't work. I ended up being the teacher, and to try to do that. I ended up teaching a summer animation camp at Hutchinson for a little bit before I knew anything about animation, but it was good to practice with teaching. And then, SCAD started, went there for animation, found out I don't like animating through the summer after the first quarter. So we're on the quarter system. So fall, spring, summer.
What didn't you like about animation?
What I didn't like about animation is I guess it's more acting focus.
Okay.
It's not really what I thought it was, which is I don't know what I was I guess I thought it was more modeling, and it's not. 3D modeling is different. You're sculpting characters, and you're building them out, or you're building environments. And that's what I leaned towards, but I didn't realize that until the very end, what I liked in terms of the 3D pipeline of animation games, etc. The second quarter, I took a modeling class. My professor's like, you should be a character artist. And I should have probably listened to him, but I'm like, you know what? I want to get into storyboarding, and I like storyboarding, but I think I like doing it for myself versus for production. And so I hopped around. I took also what SCAD has. It's called collaborative learning classes. So you usually work with a company. It's kind of like a weird free internship but with a class where you build something for that company. So we did Great Dane trailers. We did like a process book for Great Dane trailers, and then the following quarter I did another collaborative learning. Sorry, CLC is the acronym, with SCAD doing a virtual reality musical.
Ooh, I've never heard that phrase before. That's cool.
Yeah. At some point, I took a media theory class in the summer. It was summer of 2015. And my friend's theories, we all had to do a theory. Mine, I think, was Roland Barthes Smith. He did Lev Manovich, and I forgot what it was specifically, but it was correlated to virtual reality. And so SCAD at the time had 4 Oculus Developer Kit 2s. And he created an Oculus developer kit, like your Oculus experience for his theory, and I got to try it, and we also got to play around with like the different experiences through Oculus, and I'm like, I want to do that. And I found out about Oculus Story Studio, which doesn't exist anymore, but I'm like, oh, I want to do this is what I want to do. Wanted to make my thesis on it, and then I fast forward to the CLC with virtual reality musical, doing that. I also helped form their VR group. Some people from Disney and stuff came to that group and talked, so that was cool.
Yeah, it's the future. And speaking of the future, how do you keep abreast with all the technology and all the new updates coming out? How do you keep yourself up to date?
I usually try testing things out or trying experiences. I know lately, while I have Creature Studio, a lot of my energy's been on Bevo, so I've been really focused on like the environment, like the planning out what these worlds are going to look like, as well as looking at other immersive experiences, as well as theme parks, because I've been obsessed with following Epic Universe at Universal Studios. I know that's not an immersive experience per se, but I do like looking at themed entertainment design, and I actually have since I was a kid. When we didn't have time to go anywhere, and like we were just at home during the summer when I was in grade school, I would watch Travel Channel and watch behind the scenes of Disney or Universal, and the Travel Channel is not the same anymore, so a lot of that's now on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I watched Theme Park Stop. I used to watch Tim Tracker and a bunch of other like Defunct Land, and a lot of like behind the scenes of like the technology behind themed entertainment design, as well as like the story process side behind it. And even when I was majoring, when I was towards my thesis at SCAD, when I was doing virtual reality and figuring out how do I tell a story in virtual reality, because I was focused on building a Sasquatch story. I was very 2D styled, inspired by Samurai Jack, Scott Will's background paintings. I went to Universal Islands of Adventure and spent a lot of time at Diagon Alley. I spent 16 hours each day at Diagon Alley.
That's my dream. I want to go there so bad.
It's so cool, but it's like their themed entertainment design is a great reference for virtual reality, mixed reality, really extended reality as a whole. So it's kind of funny that I'm doing something it may not be theme park based, but it is a part of the location based entertainment side, and you do have to think spatially in immersive experience design. So, like, you have to think about how people interact with your space, accessibility, all these things. So,
gosh, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and even game design is similar. People are going to walk in your space, and, they might break things and do whatever, but you have to think about how the audience interacts in the game. And, game has also interactive storytelling as well. And I think that's the appeal of what we're doing is... and I know I'm skipping ahead. I think that's the appeal of what we're doing is we're giving agency to the audience. They are not a passive participant in it. They are active in their story, which I think is why people like games and why games are actually more popular right now than TVs and films, is because they are active participant in their story. And I know not all games have like deep stories. Sometimes it's about gameplay, but a lot of the most popular games have strong storytelling devices and a bunch of other things. So with us, we are giving the audience agency over their story, and they will have multiple outcomes because, again, we are extending the physical set pieces digitally through digital displays, which we can change out every day, and we'll have daily activations and daily events. So, and the characters that come into this experience, they could... I have an idea of how like to go about the characters interaction in the space, but like having roles, but they don't have to be specific characters. They create their own characters, so that gives an infinite amount of possibilities and interactions and experiences because those characters can assign you side quests. You can go through different doors. You can go through. You can take control of ships. You can travel through different worlds. You can cast spells and magic and different things. Not just magic, but different powers and abilities. But that gives you another option to interact with the world differently. So everything has multiple, if not infinite, possibilities. And that's the power of like also just giving agency to your audience. They become the hero of their story. They can choose to do the gamification, the lore, the storytelling, or they can just chill out on the boat and drink a beer.
We were talking about dragons.
Yes.
It's the logo on your website.
Yeah,
you see a dragon.
I think that's part of how I got that project.
Yeah. What is it about dragons that have inspired you and then that has led you to work with HBO House of the Dragon?
As a kid, like I think it's just that they can fly. They look really cool. I also feel like they're misunderstood, and I know depending on what different regions they are perceived differently. Like European regions, they're like dangerous and ferocious, and Asia, they're friendly and like godlike. And I think that's what's also interesting is so many different cultures have an idea of what a dragon is without ever interacting with each other. And but I think they just look cool. They have an interesting like history as well as physiology. So many different interpretations of dragons and designs. And so as a kid, I would collect so many dragon things. I had so many books. I think the first book I read on my own, which I was so proud of, was My Father's Dragon. I collect a lot of dragons. My mom, I think, got tired of me drawing dragons. I was a talented artist as a kid. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was like really, I was very ambitious. I wanted to like be the best artist ever and like do really well, and I love drawing dragons. And my mom would get me to paint things. Like I would have private art lessons, and she'd get me to like paint different things sometimes. But I was usually more rebellious and just keep on drawing dragons.
More dragons.
More dragons. And then at some point in time between middle and high school, I did far more figurative work, and I think that just correlated to characters. And it was very like detailed. I was really, for me, replicating images were just very easy, but it was harder to like design and think about like lighting and all that stuff and making it look realistic. But yeah, dragons there, and then I think that's part of why my own logo. I know I'm hopping from my childhood to high school and post college. I guess I'll go into college a little bit. When I was in college and I was in studio art, I wanted to be more in the commercial art side. I was a big fan of Drew Struzan, who is the legendary poster artist who did Indiana Jones. He did Harry Potter, Star Wars. Everyone's seen his posters.
Iconic, yeah.
I was supposed to do a 45-minute presentation, which is my longest presentation I had done at that time, and it ended up being an hour and a half. But people liked it. They're like, "Oh, cool!" But within the studio art department, I was far more commercial, and I liked the geek art. And I wanted to do this big painting of my friend battling a slug monster. But they're like, the professor's like, like, you know, this isn't like, how did you feel? And like all the weird contemporary BS, like making up some meaning that I have no association with. I just wanted to, like, they're like, oh, it doesn't have to be this fantastical illustration. Like, I want it to be. I want to paint it like that. I can add a lot of meaning and make it up, but like I was going for a very particular look and feel and style from like my childhood growing up looking at Dragonlance books, which at the time I had no idea was related to D&D. I had Dragonlance books, I had a lot of dragon books, a lot of comic book. I had stacks and stacks of books. I used to carry them to class in middle school and high school and like everywhere. I would just carry a stack of books in the 7th grade me and shove them in my locker and like carry them everywhere to class. I wouldn't even use all these books, but I used to carry them to class. So fast forwarding ahead to SCAD, realizing I'm going to an art college that has a library full of art books. That's 3 stories. And I told my roommate, I'm like, I'm at an art school. There's a library filled with art books. She's like, yeah, you're at art college. You don't understand. Like, I go to the University of Memphis, go to the 4th floor in a particular area, and it's a small like shelf of art books. Versus going to SCAD where you have like 3 layers of art books. You have anatomy, like 3D model stuff. You have a library of Don Bluth. The Don Bluth did Secret of Nim, Rockadoodle,
Yeah.
Dragon Slayer, the game. So they have an archive area of that too, so you can actually look at the OG like Don Bluth artwork.
You must have been in heaven.
Yes, I was in heaven. It was great. And then Savannah is also a pretty cool city as well.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's great. I would say do a weekend trip. Don't do like a week-long trip because it's smaller and you can get everything done in a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I know I just jumped around from dragons. I'll go back to dragons.
Yes.
Okay. Dragons. Loved dragons as a kid. Middle school. Still love dragons. At some point in time, not too long, I guess 2018, 19, I made my own logo because I'm like, okay, I want my logo to be a dragon and have like a paintbrush and everything because it's always hard to do personal branding.
Yes.
And when I tried to do personal branding in the beginning, which was just my initials, and it was done poorly, I just tore it up and threw it away. So I did my own personal brand. I did it in Procreate and sketched it out, and it worked. Like, this is me. I had a business card with gold leaf foil, and whenever I went to tech conferences, so this is around 2018, 19, I got my business cards printed through Moo and had the gold foil treatment. It was a black business card with gold foil treatment. People loved my business cards so much that they would ask for them.
Oh.
And I like at Oculus Connect, which is they used before Oculus changed its name. They had really amazing conferences, and I would take them there. And at some point in time, it became around 2020. I became like a Snapchat augmented reality creator because I signed up for their storytelling residency, and so that's how I got involved with Snapchat.
Yes. And
I did some like projects for them, like Black History Month and other projects. Trying to go fast forward. So that's 2020, and also 2020. That was the tail end of working at AR VR company. I worked at locally right after graduating. Did a lot of medical training, device training for VR and AR. And then I worked at a design firm for a little bit, like 6 months at Nationwide Marketing Group. Not the other Nationwide, which is some other.
Not on your side.
Yeah, some Nationwide Marketing Group, and then Allsec wanted me to work at doing AR activations for them. So I was an immersive experience designer is what they called it. I think that's why on my website I went with immersive experience design. So when I was at Allsec, and I think it was right after I went to the Augment World Expo. I think this was in 2022. That was actually around the first time I got COVID too. But anyway, because I went to a big conference and I had my business cards around and everything. I feel like, and I gave them to some of the Snapchat people as well, and met a lot of the Snapchat creators in person, which was great. But Augment World Expo is usually in Santa Clara, California, basically near the Bay Area, and they showcase a lot of the new augmented reality technologies, what companies are doing, and it's not always just AR, it's everything in between, but it's very corporate, very different from the Oculus Connect conference of the time. Oculus Connect was cool, kind of geared towards like gamer developer. It was fun. They had like people playing VR games on a big stage that was loud and music, and then now it's not like that anymore.
Is it more corporate now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about what they can do for brands. Yeah.
And it's very sanitized.
Yeah.
And so AWE was, I think the first AWE I went to was very corporate. The one post-pandemic, people were excited to be back in conferences. So it kind of had elements of Oculus Connect because it's the people that make those conferences.
Yeah.
That kind of reminded me of that. So it was cool to meet a lot of these people in person that I've never met before. Snapchat reached out to me about, hey, do you want to do an augmented reality experience for HBO and Snapchat for House of the Dragon? I'm like, yeah.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah.
A whole show about dragons.
It's about the dragons. Yeah. Of course. So they reached out to me initially, and it was for their first round. So they had they're having 20 creators create a House of the Dragon experience for HBO and Snapchat. It was promotional material, so commercial work for the show. It was 20 creators around the world that would be doing this. Wow. I was one of 20 doing this, and I was the one in Memphis representing the Memphis sign and everything, because some people did in India, Seattle, London, Amsterdam, etc. And there's a first launch and a second launch. I was supposed to do the first launch, but they had layoffs and everything, so I kept on like trying to like, hey, I want to do this project still.
Yes.
But I got reconnected with them, and I ended up being a part of the last launch. So I think I released that project at the end of October and worked on it for about a month.
Yeah.
And ironically there was 3 locations I was looking at. I think it was Beale Street. I was looking at the Ravine, but then I realized I couldn't really do anything there because it was closed off to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, you know what? The Memphis side of Mud Island, because a dragon would love to, like, I could see a dragon living on Mud Island. It's
That is a total dragon thing.
Yeah. So I chose the Memphis side of Mud Island, and we're driving across the bridge, taking my laptop and like testing out the filter because like it's location based. It has to. I guess the name of the project is called it was like House of the Dragon Custom Landmarker Lens. So the custom landmarker lenses are location specific, and they're connected to a figure or some sort of statue or something. So I chose the Memphis sign as that like location based like object that it would be connected to. So if you had Snapchat opened up and if you were at the Memphis sign, you would you'd open up the lens. It would tell you where to go and like where to walk, and then the dragon should like pop up and you could see it fly above the Memphis side.
Wow.
And I added a button to have it land, and so it would land and you could take a picture with it. It would roar and everything.
That's cool. Did you design the dragon like it was your own dragon?
We used HBO's assets.
Okay.
So these were large film assets that were not optimized for your phone. They were hundreds of megabytes, huge files. We had options to choose from which dragon we wanted. So there was red, green, blue, gray, and then you had like baby dragons. Mm-hmm. And I went with blue dragons because Memphis is blue. We have like grizzlies, the tigers, so I went with the blue dragon. Yeah. And I like blue. And so I chose the dragon. I gave him a concept of what I wanted it to do. It had to fit brand standards, of course. You couldn't like make it goofy. Because I originally wanted people to fly on the dragon, but I think it fell into that kind of goofy scenario. So I'm like, okay, I'll just have it, fly along and they could have it land and take pictures with it. But great experience, lots of testing. And ironically, like I had walked by that building every time I tested out this experience. Like I had it was my first time on Mud Island doing this project. Like I didn't know Mud Island was a whole park and everything. I thought it was just the amphitheater because my mom was like, oh yeah, that's where Mud Island is. And I'm like, where? And like I see Mud Island, but I'm like, how do you get there?
Is it actually an island?
Yeah, because I just thought Harbor Town was just Harbor Town, and I didn't know where exactly Mud Island was in this weird area. I'm like, I don't know where this is, but I just know there's a sign. So first time on Mud Island, first time in that area, walking back and forth and passing by that museum that I had no idea existed until Chris called me up one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue. So you were on Mud Island, and now you are building a location-based immersive experience, Baron Von Opperbean in the River of Time. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved with that? And tell me the process. What's the latest updates on that?
All right. How to get involved with that? I met Chris when he was working on his first project. He asked me to be a part of it, but I didn't know Chris that well. I also wasn't open to working for free yet, and I was starting my first job post-graduation, so I didn't agree to that, but I did go through his experience. Like, it was after he had it popped up, and I was also working on like a meta-funded game, and so me and that group went through that experience, and he was showing us the HoloLens 2 and what the project he was doing on it with Bevo.
And this was at Off the Wall Arts, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. The 2020 pop-up.
Yes.
So I went through it in 2020. I thought it was cool. He did all this, it's a small space, and transformed it. Fast forward to December 28th, 2023, he calls me up. He's like, hey, I want to show you something. So I go to Mud Island at night. I'm like, where am I going? What is this? Yeah. We get up the escalator, and I'm like, there is a museum here, and I've walked by this every day because it just looks like an office space building. Yeah. You wouldn't know. And I go in the museum. I see that there are not one boat, it's 2 boats, and they're full-size ships. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all on him. You got me here. Like, this is one, perfect location for experience. Two, it's a great idea and it makes a lot of sense. And what he wants to do with it is like redefining this industry.
Yes.
So I immediately said yes, and yeah, here I am.
Will there be dragons?
You will be on a dragon ship.
Nice. So you was that your idea?
No, it was Chris's idea. But I'm like, yes, more dragons.
Yes. So it's like dragons. It's like your path. It's like follow the dragon.
Follow the dragon. Follow the green dragon. Yeah.
And so like on a day-to-day basis, what do you create? Are you at an office? Like, what is your process like?
I'm in Mud Island. Usually, we're helping with the social media team. We just formed a team. We're going to announce it shortly.
Nice.
So doing that, figuring out, like, usually doing some sort of like 3D thing, whether it's for the front entrance window or for the dragon ship, whatever, figuring out stuff like that. And also sometimes learning some new software and things like that. But day to day, it depends on what we're trying to get done. Whether it's like meetings, touring people. Me and Marvin are the tour guides, and whether we're touring people, whether we're meeting people, doing notes and stuff. So reaching out to team members and like interviews, podcasts, building things. So it depends on the day.
Yeah, that sounds so exciting. And my last question I like to ask artists on this podcast is, if you had all the time and all the resources, what would be your dream project? But this kind of sounds like a dream project.
It's definitely a dream project.
Yeah.
It's like this, and then I have like another idea for an immersive experience.
Yeah,
as
talk
well.
about that.
I had this idea about like maybe having like a Camp Cryptid. I probably can't use that title because there's already other things named Camp Cryptid. I'd probably name it some sort of whatever name of the camp, but it would be like an indoor-outdoor experience that has day and night cycles. And it would be about finding cryptids, getting badges, talking to scout leaders, etc., and tying in southern cryptids. So I'd like to talk to like Toby Sells, who used to do the Hate Blues podcast, which is really great. He doesn't do it anymore, but it's still up on Spotify. Great voice. I told him like I love. He actually inspired me for when I was working on a project for my first Snapchat experience through the Snapchat Creators Program. So yeah.
So what would it take, do you think, to like get the Camp Cryptid thing or whatever you call it? Like what would go into that?
I'd probably start building it digitally to see if it works.
Yeah.
And build some sort of digital version first. As a small proof. I probably should do a physical thing, but I thought like maybe doing it digital, see how people interact with it, what works, what doesn't work, might be a good testing ground.
Yeah.
But I'd probably have it in like a woodsy area and have like tents and stuff. I know the way I want to do it would not be like cheap, so I'd have to get funding and stuff, but I would also have to build some sort of proof of concept, maybe in a small area, have people in character, use a mixture of holographic kind of viewfinders where you're not holding anything up, but you're looking through like binoculars. I don't know what they're called. They're like on a stand and you look through things.
I know. Will you like put a quarter in it?
Yeah, and you look through things, but making
what are those? I don't know.
I'm gonna call them viewfinders, but like making AR versions of that. So if they look through that, maybe they have to like they see a cryptid flying around. So integrating, I like how Chris has had the like natural integration of technology and physical locations seamlessly. I would like to do some more of that, but having it attuned to different day and night cycles. So if you're going at day, it'll be a different experience from going at night. And then if it rains, you can go inside the tents, and if it's not, you can go outside the tents. So. But it's still like in a brainstorming phase. I'm mostly I was mostly like just researching like southern cryptids and like what cryptids I would want to bring there. So. That
sounds like the fun part. Like I don't. What is a southern cryptid? Like what are some examples?
In Tennessee, we have the white screamer, which is yeah.
I know a few of those.
It's a banshee in Middle Tennessee. Apparently, like killed families or something. So the white screamer, like it's a banshee. It screams. It's supposed to rip your skin off or something crazy.
Oh my gosh!
But then the white screamer has been sometimes confused with like a werewolf. So it's been debated. But in books, I mostly find the white screamer, the Ozark Howler. Which is in Arkansas. You have Lizard Man, and I think that's in one of the Carolinas. Lizard Man, I know there's more, and I'm blanking oddly. And I know Mississippi has its own Sasquatch as well. You have variations of Sasquatches throughout the United States outside of the obvious parts. But cryptids usually found in like southern areas. Like I bought a book called, I think, Appalachian Folklore, and it has a cryptid section, but it has many like folk tales, haunting spirits, all that stuff. So that's like part of my research is going through those types of books.
I love folklore like that. Like I'm fascinated by that. So last question, I fully believe that location-based immersive experiences are the future of art in general.
Oh yeah.
What do you agree with that? Like, what do you think is the future of art?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. People want shared experiences. As a matter of fact, the immersive experience industry is a $150 billion industry as of this year.
Wow.
I think by 2033, it's expected to be $800 billion. So we are on the cutting edge, and like we are redefining immersive experiences because our three pillars are play, games, and story. So we have the playground elements, kind of like the St. Louis City Museum.
I just went there like 2 months ago. It was like amazing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I still need to get, like, I'm talking about these. I still have to go to the St. Louis Museum and Meow Wolf, but
Meow Wolf changed my life. You got to go to Meow Wolf.
Yeah.
It was like, especially they have this part where it's like a downtown futuristic city, and you were talking about like going to Memphis and like seeing all the like you would love it.
Yeah, we have a few people on our board that worked on Meow Wolf, Santa Fe, and I think Denver. But Meow Wolf also was an inspiration for Bevo, but this has more like storytelling and lore-based things. So there's elements of, I would say, of Universal Disney where each area has like a theme or like a world or story there. But it's like this. It's a interactive narrative, not linear narrative. So you're not like going through each room and it's a linear story. It's more so this is a living, breathing world with characters and interactions, and there are story bits within it, like how game storytelling is, but not linear games, but open world games.
Yes.
So I like to reference Sea of Thieves. I love Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is an open world gaming experience, or it's a video game. It's an open world online game where you're a pirate and you have crew, and they have story elements in each like land you go through. And sometimes they have like, depending on what season it is, they had like a Pirates of the Caribbean crossover. So they had Pirates of the Caribbean like stories it could do.
That's fun.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's not every day you get to meet a genius. I feel like the way you layer things and how you research and put all your interests together, it's just like you're living the dream and you're doing such cool things, and you're on the cutting edge, and like it's gonna like put Memphis on the map.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I mentioned human characters that we'll have in this experience. We'll also have an AI character as well. I know people are afraid of AI, but we will have an AI character. In the earlier version of Bevo, Chris did have an AI character.
Yeah.
It was named Louise. It was named after the Baron's long-lost wife. But she'll be a character you get to interact with the story, but she won't just be someone you're just talking to. There will be a holographic display, so wayfinding. You can see different worlds. You can ask her questions. She's your guide to the multiverse. She'll be in each world, and we're having touchless interactions as well, so hand tracking, so you can actually rotate the map and do whatever without touching anything. We'll have a bunch of touchless interactions that will make it feel like magic. So
that is amazing. So what is like the next step of Bevo? Like what are you hoping, what are you guys working towards right now?
I think we're working towards trying to get enough money to build out the experience.
Yeah.
That's our first and foremost. We have a WeFunder right now, which is our community investment platform. It ends, I think, April 29th of next month. But we are also looking at private investments as well. And you could, if our WeFunder ends, we do have a contribute page on bvoexp.com. It's under contribute. There are multiple options we have the WeFunder investments page, as well as like if you just want to give us like $10 or whatever dollars, you can throw it in that there. But WeFunder is like you could invest as little as $100, and you can get, I think it was like, I'm not good at describing the legalese on it. It is on the website, but it's like a 2.2x return depending on how like we do. If we do really well, your investment will be good. If we don't, So.
You took a chance.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great chance. Like Memphis needs something like this. It's going to change everything. So thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being creative.
Yes. Awesome. And I need to go to your parties because I saw that you had a collage party in Ugly Art Co. And
Yes.
I missed it. I'm like, I want to. I haven't done traditional art in a while, but I when I was at Snapchat, we got to paint on these little circles.
Ooh.
And I did an eyeball. They're like, "Oh, this is really cool," and I just like whipped it out. I'm like, I really want to do this again. It's been a minute.
I would love to have you there. The next one's April 23rd.
Oh, sweet.
They're every month, every fourth Wednesday. The first one, like 60 people came.
Oh, nice.
So it's like so cool to be around that many people collaging, and like I have a lot of collage material, like resources and stuff.
We might have a bunch from Bevo because we have a lot of stuff. We find things every day there.
I bet.
Yeah.